Well, the world has still gone nutty, buddy, even downright cruddy, buddy. Wish I missed the past, buddy, but there's still Buddycast. No, don't be naughty, go meet everybody here on Buddycast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and host of Buddycast, Nick Sorensen.
Welcome back, buddies, to the first official Buddycast of 2023. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen, and joining me today is an awesome buddy, a returning buddy, my buddy, Mayor Schember. How you doing today, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much, Nick. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for returning to the episode. Thanks for returning to Buddycast.
Happy to do it.
Awesome. Now, Mr. Mayor, when it comes to the city of Erie, what are your hopes for 2023?
Well, one of the things we're trying to do right now is, unfortunately, we had some turnover of employees towards the end of last year. And so we've got some open positions, and we've really made some good plans in terms of what we want to hire. But the hard part is going through a lot of interviews and trying to find the best possible person. So I'm hoping by the end of January, or at the latest by the end of February, we filled these positions and we're moving forward.
Awesome. Now, what about 2022? What were some highlights for you? What were some things you were very proud of when it comes to Erie?
Well, 2022 was a good way in a lot of ways, especially with the development in the downtown Erie area, which we have supported. We've provided some funding for it, but Erie Insurance, who's our local biggest employer, they employ literally thousands of people, and they earn good wages. They provided a lot of money, and the group they formed to develop 3 blocks in downtown Erie, they attracted 3 times the amount of money that the company had put into it. So that work is really coming along, and I'm looking out my windows here. I can see it going on. It's very exciting. But there's more than that going on, more in terms of development, like up at 12th and State Street. I'm at 6th and State. State's the middle street in Erie. Up at 12th and State, there's an old bank there that's being totally remodeled, and there'll be a lot of new employees in there. The top floor is already full, but they're really doing some extensive remodeling on the bottom floors. And again, there's going to be a lot of employees in there. That's the kind of thing I'm really proud of, and we're really trying to move that kind of thing forward.
Awesome. Sounds like a lot of development, a lot of personal progress, just things going in the right direction for the city.
Absolutely. And I want to see people added. Over the last 55 years, Erie has gradually lost people. We've lost about 140,000. Gone from about 140 to right around 100,000. So I'm really hoping over the next several years we can see that start to build up. In fact, I set a goal for myself at the beginning of last year. I announced it, and basically I said we'll grow Erie's population by 10,000 people in the next 7 years. So that's a big goal, and my team and I are working hard on making that happen.
Awesome. So that brings up a follow-up question for me. The last time you were on here, we talked about bringing people to Erie, like what brings them to Erie. What do you think keeps them in Erie? Like, what are some things personally you think that brings someone to Erie, but then says, why would I ever want to leave?
And that does happen a lot, actually. And one of the greatest things is we're on Lake Erie, right on Lake Erie, but we actually have a peninsula that forms a bay, which I think that's the only one on Lake Erie. And that type of peninsula and bay are rare anywhere in the Great Lakes. And our peninsula is 13 miles around. It's got beautiful beaches there's a lot of work keeping them up. But, I think a lot of people, when they first come to Erie, they're on the bayfront at one of our hotels where we have a convention center as well. And they're looking out over that. And a lot of those people tell me, I go down and talk to a lot of them. They tell me that they're going to go home and bring their kids back so they can go out in the peninsula with them. So I think that's one of the biggest things we have drawing people here, the peninsula and the bay. It's incredible.
Love it. And earlier we talked about, business developments. One thing that I've noticed with the city is a great place for small business developments or new business developments. Like we have, the flagship city food hall that opened up. We have all those shops on State Street that opened up. What are your thoughts on all the small business developments here in Erie?
Yeah, Erie is really great with small business development. We have funding available to help with that, and a lot of some of those businesses die off, but a lot of them continue on, and they usually start in a location that's maybe Gannon runs a development. There's another one right up at 12th and State where there's development, and they start in those places. And then as they get going, they buy another place or rent another place and keep moving up. And it's very exciting. At the city, my team and I, we do all we can to support those business development efforts. We love to see something new starting and growing here in Erie. That's what happened to the Erie Insurance Exchange probably 80 or 90 years ago. It started here and it's grown into an incredible business.
Mm-hmm. It's grown into the largest business in Erie.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, for sure. Yes.
So speaking of businesses, speaking of the businesses developing, what are some businesses or some ideas that you'd really like to see grow here in Erie over the next few years?
Basically, any kind of a business that can be done here in Erie. And now with what we went through with COVID-19 and with the remote working that's available, people can almost work anywhere they want and still get things done. I know there's some employers put their foot down and say, you have to come into work if you're going to be here. But again, one of our largest employers, Erie Insurance, through the pandemic, their employees, thousands of people worked from home, and they just built a new building at that time too. Now that building is full, but my understanding is a lot of the people there now are coming in maybe Tuesday through Thursday, but they work from home Monday and Friday. The advantage of that is if you're working from home, you don't have to travel to work and back, and you don't have to go out and buy lunch somewhere. You've got everything you need right there. And I know some people might take advantage of working from home, but I think most people really work hard and put in a lot more hours than they would if they were in an office. So I really encourage that to continue.
I love that idea, working from home, just working. My dad does it now, and you're right. There's so many more home advantages, rather like the home cooked meals or just the fact being in the comfort of your own home. So having your own wardrobe, having your own area just to make your own space rather than just the cubicle right next to you where you've got this much space to work with.
Yeah. My son, he's 37 and he's in Albany, New York. But he originally, he worked for one company where he made a really good salary. But then this company started to slow down and they started laying people off, and he got laid off. So then he went to work for the state of New York in an office in Albany, New York. He did that for about a year. He was making about half what he made with the other company. Then he got another job offer where he'd work from home and earn twice what he was what he was earning from the state. And that's really worked out well for him. He continues to work hard at it. But it's something that's totally under his control. And it's a relatively new company. They're a nationwide company. They have about 15 employees now, and they're making a lot of money, and he's doing very, very well as well.
Love it. Love it. So what else? Enough talk about business. What are some of your personal favorite activities to do when you get some time and get to be when you get to be Joe Schember instead of Mayor Schember? What are some of your favorite things to do around Erie?
Well, I love obviously going out to the peninsula. That's always a great thing to do. Going down by the bayfront. A lot of times during my lunch hour, I'm right in downtown here in the office. I'll go for a walk, and people will start to talk to me because they'll see me, they'll recognize me, and I welcome that. I enjoy conversations, and I encourage everyone to talk to me. And I'm not going to agree with everyone on everything, but I want to listen to everyone and then hopefully learn what's best for Erie and move that forward. So the more people that talk to me, the more opportunity I have to make sure that happens.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any of those conversations recently? Have you had people who, like you said, don't agree with you, but you learned something from them? You learned an idea, or you maybe have an open mindset about something that really you didn't think of it this way before.
Yes. In fact, just today I had a conversation. It was just a 15, 20-minute conversation with somebody that had set up an appointment. I didn't know what they wanted to talk to me about. And they were very general in terms of their concerns about what's wrong with Erie. But we went over a lot of things. I asked questions. It was a great conversation. And I wish I'd been given some more specific ideas about how can we correct this. But she at least made me aware of concern. And I'm going to continue to think about that and work on it and hopefully move Erie forward.
Perfect. Now, this show's all about buddies. Some of the most important buddies to you right now are your family and your staff. How important are both aspects to you right now? Like how much do you value both of those buddies? You know?
Well, yeah, I value both of them very highly. My wife, I fell in love with when I was 19 years old. That was a long time ago. And I'd never dated anyone before that either. I'd been in the seminary studying to be a Catholic priest for 6 years. At the end of the 6th year, I decided this isn't right for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was going to Gannon at the time, and my future wife was going to Mercyhurst, both local colleges.
Mhm.
And I went on a retreat. That was a Gannon Mercyhurst retreat. They picked us up in a bus. Then we went up to Mercyhurst, picked them up, and headed out to Dunkirk, New York, where the weekend was spent. And when she got on, like I said, I'd never dated a girl, didn't quite understand girls at that time, but I was immediately attracted to her, and she sat right behind me. So I was turned around talking to her, but with the bus moving, I started to feel upset to my stomach. So I stopped turning around. She thought I didn't like her, but I quickly corrected that. Like I said, I don't know how. Like I say, I'd never even dated a girl before. And then I decided I wanted to marry her. We got married 9 3/4 years later, because I think it took me that long to convince her I was the right guy for her, even though I was totally convinced she was the right girl for me. And occasionally, now we've been married now 43 years. We have 3 children who we love. The oldest is 39, and we have twins that are 37. And we love them. They love us. In fact, the kids, when they went to college, my wife made a rule you had to call every day. And they did. And now, of course, they've been out of college a long time. They still call us every day, even though one's in New York City and the other's over in New York. And so it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And that, I'm really happy about that. I also have a great staff here at City Hall. A lot of my staff actually worked when I first ran for mayor 6 years ago. A lot worked on that. And we've got a great staff. We are a little bit challenged now, as I mentioned earlier, because we've had some turnover of some employees who left for various reasons, nothing bad or anything, just, they were dating someone that was in Harrisburg, so they moved there, that sort of thing. But we're in the process now of doing some interviews for these positions to try to fill them. And we're real excited about the people we're interviewing and talking to. And so we'll continue down that path, and hopefully within a month or two, we want to have another great team built and then work hard on moving Erie forward.
Love it. Love it. Now, speaking of buddies, last time you were on the show, I asked you, what does it mean to be someone's buddy? I want to ask you, why is it important to be someone's buddy today?
I think we should be open and honest with everybody. And I know there's some people that everybody, there's a small group that you just don't connect with. And that's hard to be a buddy there. I still, even though I disagree with somebody about things, I still try to be open and honest. And if they want to get together or talk, I try to do it. But there are some people you connect with much better and much more completely. And those are the ones I give my cell phone to. I encourage them anytime you want to talk, anytime you have a question, text or call me on my cell phone. And that's really the essence of building a better community, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Now, Mr. Mayor, before I ask you my final question on this show, I just want to do a quick promotion for Buddycast here. We've got a great month lined up here. We've got Dan and Lori from WCTL Radio coming on tomorrow. Joe Lang from Lakeshore Community Services. We've got some local businesses coming on here, and our another one that we were fortunate enough to get. Have you watched The Karate Kid or Cobra Kai by chance?
Yes, The Karate Kid I've seen, yes.
Yes, have you seen the third one by chance?
I don't think I have. I haven't been seeing any movies lately.
Yeah, so if you watch the third movie, there's the main bully on this thing. His name is Mike Barnes. He's gracing us with with his presence. The real name's Sean Kanan, but he's gracing us with our presence actually next month or next week. Wow. Sorry. Yeah. Nice. So if you get a chance, find us on Facebook and tune in.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yes. So the final question I have for you is what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question. If you're ready for this, what's your advice to anybody about Erie? Like, what's your advice to anyone in Erie? We'll make it 2 parts. Anyone in Erie right now and anyone looking to come visit Erie.
For anyone in Erie, the one thing I always say, if I accomplish only one thing as mayor, what I want that thing to be is everyone in Erie accepts everybody else. What I believe the unique talents and skills everybody possesses. So if we could just do that, even though we know we're not going to agree on everything, there'll be things we disagree on, but hey, that's okay. We could still have a good relationship and listen to each other and probably learn from each other as well. So for across the country, I would encourage, United States is a pretty incredible place to live. I don't think there's any other place like this in the world. I'm sure there's other good places as well. I'm not trying to talk anyone down, but we have such a unique group of people here. We swear in about 500 new Americans a year at our federal courthouse. There's 10 of them a year, about 50 each time. I go to every one. I do a welcoming address, and I'm kind of a pen freak. I give them all one of my pens and welcome them to Erie. And they seem real excited about it. And a lot of them then want a picture with me after the swearing in, and I always stay as long as that takes. So again, I think if we all just become more accepting of each other, regardless of our gender, our nationality, color of our skin, our religion, none of that, that's all like secondary. The most important thing is we're all human beings. Let's connect and be together.
Wonderful advice. Thank you so much. That's exactly what we need, especially for 2023. Just be human. Yes. Be a neighbor, just like what Mr. Rogers always encourages us to do,
You're right. Absolutely. Yes.
So, and most importantly, be a buddy. And thank you, Mayor Schember, for being a buddy on Buddycast.
Thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. For all my buddies out there, this is my buddy, Mayor Joe Schember. Please, if you're in the Erie area, you see him walking around the streets, say hi to him. Just say hi. He's still a human being. So absolutely. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. And Mr. Mayor, before we end today's episode, I got to ask you this. Whatever you do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year, please go be someone's buddy.
Absolutely.
All right, stick around for a minute. We'll chat. But for all my buddies out there, Mayor Schember, I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. We'll catch you next time here on everybody's favorite show, Buddycast.
Well, the days are going fast, buddy, we've got to make them last, buddy, before they've all gone past, buddy, tune in to Buddycast. But don't feel none, it could make it, buddy, here on Buddycast.